Welcome back to another video on Gearsaw Studios, and today I'm going to be showing you the 2023 mob vote, what you need to know about it, and who should you vote for, since we have three pretty good options this year: the crab, the armadillo, and the penguin. However, closer inspection reveals that only one of them would be particularly good to have in game. So let's investigate and see which one that is. Now, to get a feel for each of these mobs, I'm going to be watching the mob trailers, closed captions on if you want to know what they're saying with their, mini employees and such. And we're going to be seeing how each mob will behave according to the trailers. First off, we have the crab, and the crab will be living in mangrove swamps, as shown here. And they will come with one item, the crab claw. You can see it floating around there, and they will drop it, presumably when you kill it, unfortunately, but still an interesting mechanic nonetheless. And here's the thing, the crab claw will allow you to place blocks further away, which highly benefits builders. In case you ever have that thing where you make a room too tall and now you need all the scaffolding in order to get everywhere, that will be reduced. It will be very interesting to see how this will change gameplay, since in survival mode, you can't fly around. It can be pretty difficult to reach high up areas, and the crab claw will mitigate that. Now, for our second mob, we'll have to go all the way to the savannah. And one thing before I start the video, notice there's coral in the water here, but this is a savannah. Notably, this is a misconception. They spawn near lukewarm oceans, not warm oceans, which means this place should be impossible in game. But anyways, once you start traveling into the savannah, presumably using a boat, you'll eventually find armadillos. They'll be lying around, they hide in their shells, which presumably gives them more defense. And here's the thing about these ones, they provide scoots. Although we have turtle shell scoots which already need another usage, these existing armadillo scoots will be used for wolf armor. That way, they have more defense and they're more useful in combat. However, there's a glaring flaw in this I will talk about later. But anyways, they spawn in savannas, probably have high defense, and provide wolf armor. The best way to think of these mobs is in the form of a mechanic or item being added rather than the mobs themselves. Now for our final mob, the penguin. And through appearance, this would likely be the most interesting. Penguins will spawn near the stony shores, and they're cute, they have babies, which implies that you can breed them, and they have something interesting about them. They do not have an item, unlike the other two, and their lack of item is made up for with their mechanic, and that is swimming near boats in order to make them sail faster. And although that sounds pretty nice, another problem with that, that's essentially what a dolphin does already. Essentially, penguins are cuter versions of dolphins that do not provide any items like the other two, and don't even guide you to structures. Although cute, I still don't see too much of a use in this, and you can probably tell what I'm going to say is the best one to choose for, but in game, let's investigate. Now, I have three poster boards set up for reasons why and why not we should have each mob. First off, we have crabs, and although one of the reasons is a joke, still, crabs are quite interesting. They spawn in the mangrove swamp, although we already have a lot of things here: bees, frogs, tropical fish, the most mechanically interesting tree in the game, etc. Still, it's always nice to have more mobs. But unfortunately, it doesn't spawn on beaches, or at least don't appear to, and are ambient mobs yet again. The only one that's not an ambient mob is the penguin, but we'll get to that later. Also, the crab claw might have durability, and although it's a necessary cost for something being added, still, we might have to deal with that, which might mean you have a little bit more crab time than you were bargaining for. However, crab meat is a popularly requested feature, not to mention, food's pretty scarce here despite all the things going on, because you can either risk it with a bee nest, or you can eat clownfish. Neither one of those are particularly good, not to mention these things like spawning in the middle of deserts sometimes. So that makes survival here a bit easier. Also, crabs are likely to be a fan favorite and give a new usage to the word carcinization, Since it carcinizes Minecraft, more crabs will be in game, and although it's a pointless reason, still it's more biodiversity for the game, since the other two are pretty basic, and the mangrove swamp is a very diverse biome already. Not to mention, it benefits all walks of players by increasing build range. As long as you play in 1.21, likely, you'll have crabs, and if you ever build, you are going to benefit from it. You can do new parkour tricks with the extended reach, easier water bucket MLGs, everything. Crab claws are going to be very useful. For the armadillo, we have a couple of unique things about it, but notably, it's less beneficial than the other two, since most of the reasoning to add it hinges on something that was not mentioned at all. Of course, they spawn in savannas, they curl up. When they're curled up, they might have armor points, although that's a small thing, and they will provide wolf armor scoots. But here's the thing, it solves literally nothing. Wolf armor is already fundamentally a pretty bad choice, since a tamed wolf has the same health as the player, and of course, they're so susceptible to sweeping attacks on Java, one of the big reasons why you don't want to use wolves. You're gonna accidentally hit them. So wolf armor doesn't exactly solve much if the player, who has very high attack damage, is going to be accidentally killing them anyways. Not to mention, the armor, considering it's made up of armadillos, is probably not that strong. You cannot deflect a bullet off an armadillo like the myth says, which means you might have some issues with it dying anyways. Not to mention, there's a pretty good chance it's going to get relegated to horse armor number 2. If you use horse armor often, then I have a feeling this will be useful for you if it gets in. Then we have savannas, which already have llamas. We already have one unique mob because, let's be honest, who's going to windswept hills in 1.18? Which means we already have things here. Although the same argument can be made about frogs being with crabs, still, the thing is, frogs spawn in different biomes as well, such as the normal swamp, versus the llama, which more or less is this biome exclusively. Then we have the wolf armor. Of course, it does give viability to them. Potentially, it will be good enough to be used in combat. And then the big reason that everyone's hinging on. For all we know, enchantments might be added to the armor, buffing your dog, which would be a very cool thing and would probably push them into viability, but still, the chances of that being added are pretty slim. I would not bank on it. And then we have the final one, the penguin. They spawn in stony shores, they swim around, they're kind of clumsy on land, and their mechanic will be making boats faster. However, isn't that what a dolphin does? It's going to be a cuter version of the dolphin that you can't feed in order to find structures. Instead, because the existence of babies implies that these will be bred mobs, on top of adding something to 2x2 in advancement on Java Edition, and it might be on Bedrock, I'm not sure. It will be an interesting thing to see baby penguins. They're going to be a cute mob. Everyone's going to love them. But are they really that useful? No items come with it. They spawn on the stony shore, which you are likely destroying for gravel due to the lack of windswept hills since they're the rarest biome in the game now. Actually tested, it's true. Not to mention, who's going to transport penguins for boat usage? It's going to be very annoying to make these follow around. You know how hard it is to move sheep across the nether if they're very far away, or herding sheep in general. Imagine doing that for your boat. For all we know, the penguin might wander off and suddenly your boat slows down. But it does add life to the otherwise barren stony shores. Although these two mobs already have the issue of being in a place which already has unique animals, the stony shore is completely barren, which means the penguin will add the most rounded biodiversity to the game, if that's a concern to you. Which means you either have more stuff for the mangroves, more stuff for the savanna, or more stuff for stony shores, which I wasn't able to find nearby. It's your pick, but it's an interesting idea to think about. In order to see how each of these things will integrate into the game, we can demonstrate them using in-game mechanics already. For the crab, we can build to roughly about here, 4 blocks away from the player. Now, imagine using this block right here 4 blocks away, placed it from here. That could be the difference between life and death when it comes to parkour or placing water buckets. Imagine you're falling from a great height, say the Ender Dragon got you, and you right-clicked at just the wrong time, and now suddenly you're dead and without all of your items. If you had the crab claw equipped, you could have potentially made the same jump and placed on the water bucket so that way you didn't die fall damage. It has more use than just building. It might save your life one day. Then we have the Armadillo's wolf armor. Over here I have a wolf, far away since they bark a lot, and we can roughly replicate the same thing through damage reduction. A potion of Turtle Master will slow it down, give it a potion of speed. No, it's only a little slow. This isn't too important. Yeah, it's kind of slow. But still, you can replicate the same thing in current survival using potions, in case it doesn't make it in. And it will give your dog a lot more effective HP, in case you are worried about your dogs dying in combat. They'll still be viable, but you might have to re-equip it a lot. And then, we have the Penguin. The Penguin's unique because you can't change boat speed to my knowledge, so instead, I have an alternative proposal to demonstrate what it might look like. Giving yourself speed 4, well 5 because how commands work, you can see we're running pretty quick here. And this could potentially be how fast a boat goes when on water with this. And of course I don't have Depth Strider, I'm going to be very slow in water, but still, hypothetically, if I were to get myself some boots like this, enchant them real quick using /enchant, and then you can see this could potentially be how fast the boat will go. And that would be really nice, wouldn't it? So, although it might be short last, still, it could potentially be another life or death situation, although a lot more inconsistent, since you never know when a penguin might be close enough to speed up your boat, or the skeletons behind you are going to land a trick shot and you're ending up dead on the shores of the sea. Still, more inconsistent, but still potentially life-saving. But all in all, I'd still recommend the crab. It has the most versatility when it comes to saving your life. Potentially is a fan favorite. Crab Rave exists if you have seen that video, and that is popularly requested, and it might even become a new food source. Versus the Armadillo, which is damage resistant to dogs and faster boats that are inconsistent using a dolphin remodel. Still, it's up to you depending on what you want. And with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And remember that all this is opinion. Don't take this as a means to instantly vote for the crab. If you don't want the crab, so be it. It's still your vote after all. Either way, enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure to not miss Minecraft Live on Sunday this week. Gearsaw out.